Namaskar. The topic of discussion in this module is on coastal landforms. The subject of geomorphology deals with various landforms created by the geological agents. Among the geological agents, waves and currents are very important mechanisms. We are all aware that the oceans have a great impact on the earth, on the global climate, and also on all life which are living nearer to it. Ocean water serves as a reservoir of heat and a potential source for various natural resources. Seas and oceans are constantly sculpturing the edges of the continents and create various landforms. Coastal zones are very sensitive zones. Continental shelves and nearshore waters comprise about 5% of the area of the world. In spite of this, 2/3 of the world's population thrives nearer to the coast. Throughout human history, we have seen people have been attracted towards the coast. It is mainly because of the moderate climates, marine food, commercial and recreational opportunities that are available nearer to the beach. Coastal ecosystems are good habitats for innumerable number of flora and fauna. Coasts are an interface between the lithosphere and the hydrosphere. Time immemorial, beaches are considered to be the best places for tourism, fishing, mariculture, water transport, recreation, sporting, social, political and community interactions. Sunbathing and souvenir collection are the regular activities of tourists along the beaches. These are unique and typical land masses bordered by the seas and oceans. Coasts are not static but dynamic environments involving mass and energy transformations of waves and currents. Shorelines are subjected to both continental and oceanic processes. These are called as geomorphic processes. The geomorphic processes acting on the surface of the earth are of twofold as exogenous processes and endogenous processes. External processes are subaerial processes acting on the surface of the earth. They draw their energy mostly from the sources above the lithosphere, either in the atmosphere or in the oceans. The behavior of external processes are often predictable. These are mostly influenced by the existing topography, its shape and nature of the surface materials. Waves, tides and currents are very powerful geomorphic agents. The erosional and depositional work of the sea waves can create many spectacular landscapes along the borders of the continents. Studying the coastal landforms are interesting aspects in geomorphology. In this program, the following aspects are highlighted: geomorphology of coasts, waves, tides and currents, coastal geomorphic processes, erosional landforms and depositional landforms of the coastal regions. Let us see the first one, geomorphology of the coast. Every continent or island is bordered by a long or short coastline. Coastline is the line separating the land from the sea. Coastal zones are the transition zones between terrestrial and marine habitat. They form an interface between land and oceanic natural processes also. Coastal areas are varied in their topography, climate and vegetation. Some are sandy beaches, some are rocky shores with or without tidal inlets. The climate of a coast are controlled by the land and sea breezes and the humidity controlled by the marine waters. Waves are powerful tools for constructive and destructive activities. Hence, the geomorphology of a beach, the materials and the processes are always not constant due to the impact of everlasting action of the tides, waves and currents. If we look at the division of a sea coast and a seashore, the shoreline represents the actual landward limit of the seawater. Shoreline is the boundary between land and water. This limit varies with reference to location and time. Along the coast, we could notice a high tide zone and a low tide zone. These two are observable water lines up to which the tides normally swash the coast. It happens every day. The average water level between the high tide and low tide is considered as the mean sea level. Coastal belts are divided into three major divisions as backshore, foreshore and offshore. Backshore represents the beach zone starting from the limit of frequent storm wave above the high tide shoreline. Foreshore extends from high tide water to low tide water. It is the sloping beach face in the zone of swash and backwash. Offshore represents the zone of oceanic shallow water inside the continental shelf. The greatest amount of sediment transport as beach deposit occurs within the shore and near shore zones. Beyond the near shore lies the offshore region. There are 5 major zones identified along the coastal belts. They are the zone of wind action, the limit of wave action, the zone of swash and backwash, the zone of breakers and the zone of shoaling waves. The zone of wind action lies on the landward side and the zone of shoaling waves exists inside the sea. The limit of wave action ends along the regions of berms, which are sediment deposited zones well above the zones of swash and backwash. The following are the characteristic features of a shoreline. Breaker zone is an important zone. It is the area where the incoming waves become unstable, rising to a peak and breaking down. The second one is the surf zone. In the surf zone, the waves of translation occur after the waves break. Longshore currents occur in this zone which run parallel to the coastline. The third one is the swash zone. It is the place where the waves and backwash materials prevail. It is the place where up and down movement of beach materials take place. Berms are the flat backshore areas on the beaches. This is the sunbathing zone with wave deposited sediments. A berm is a bench like feature containing sands carried shoreward by the swash. Landward of the berm is a belt of dunes built by the wind. These are mainly swept up by the berms. There are summer and winter berms. Both are located within the zone of wave action. During the summer, accumulation of sand takes place and it forms the summer berms. The summer berm starts from the zone of swash and backwash. Bars are also created inside the waters along the zone of wave breakers. Moving water shapes excess quantities of detritus into the sorted and layered deposits of the coast. Beach face is yet another one. A beach is defined as a body of cohesionless sediment along a coast that is subjected to the effect of breaking waves. The beach and the near shore meet at the low tide line. Beach is the sloping portion of the coast below the berm. The area is partly exposed by the backwash of the waves. A beach is characterized by its geometric profile and the sediments comprising in it. The parameters of a beach are its geographic setting and profile, the beach face slope, volume of sediments lying within the beach and their environmental conditions. Beaches are classified into high, low and moderate energy beaches based on these characters only. Normally, high energy conditions prevail during summer months in the coast. The wave height increases after the onset of monsoon and produce significant changes in the beach morphology. The following are the features of a coastline. The major features of a coastline are sand dunes, lagoons or tidal inlets and estuaries. Sand dunes of a beach is considered to be the zone of wind action. It may be up to 3 meters in elevation. Dunes are accumulations of wind blown sands. Although some dunes are bare, most of the dunes near the coast are vegetated with coastal plants. Such plants existing in a coastal dune help to stabilize the dune. Dunes are very dynamic geomorphic features. They are subjected to erosion during periods of high waves and accrete during normal wave conditions. During a storm or a large swell, waves attack and erode these dunes. This process is known as scarping process, which releases sand that was stored in the dune into the active beach. The inflow of sand is often carried offshore to build sandbars, which help to attenuate the incoming wave energy also. Lagoons are shallow water bodies of brackish or salt water partially separated from the neighboring sea by barriers of sand or shingle. The sea water can flow only through narrow openings left by the barriers. They become the coastal ponds or lakes if they are completely detached from the sea. Estuaries are yet another formations. Marine ecosystems also include the salt marshes and wetlands located along the shores and river mouths. Within the coastal zone, several unique habitats like estuaries, tidal inlets and foreshore ecosystems are also included. At the mouth of every old stream or a river, there will be an aquatic condition which includes the habitat of both freshwater and saltwater. These are called as estuarine environments. Estuaries are the coastal areas where the saline waters of the ocean meet with the fresh waters of the streams and rivers. Estuarine habitats are usually very productive because of the accumulation of nutrients from a large catchment of a river. Estuaries offer good fishing grounds as the water column is shallow and approachable. These zones are the breeding habitat for a variety of shrimp and prawn species, oysters and fish. They also provide sheltered harbors for ships and other traffic. Estuarine waters are used for cooling of water in thermal power generation plants. Various kinds of estuaries exist along the coasts of every continent in the world.